The Rockets Chop Shop is your one-stop shop for all your basketball needs, for highlights, analysis, podcasts. We do it all here at the Rockets Chop Shop. Make sure you hit the like button on the videos that you watch if you enjoy them. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications from all the great drops that we have on the channel. Also, you can visit the Chop Shop merch store and get you some of the swaggiest gear in the Houston Rockets kingdom. And if you want, you can always support the channel directly through donation. And if you want, you can support us through our partnerships with our sponsors. The Rockets Chop Shop is made by fans for fans, and we're going to keep rocking and keep dropping that heat.
I feel like the time you deserve from me. This is something I know.
If you watch the Chop Shop, you already know that I've dropped countless videos talking about Jalen Green and what he is good at, what things that he struggles at, where he needs to take his game to the next level. So when Zach Lowe dropped his article kind of detailing basically all I've said over the past 2 years, it felt pretty good. So I'm going to go over this article. I'm going to talk about some of the key parts that I saw from it. I'm going to pull out some quotes that really resonate with me, and we're going to chop it up about Jalen Green's third year coming up. Why is this so important for the Rockets? Tap in. Enjoy.
What does a third-year jump look like for you in your eyes, for yourself?
So that's really, you're ready to just say, like, I just want to be judged on the standings and the numbers there. Is that because of what you've gone through the last few years? Or how much of that is because of what you've gone through the last 2 years?
Winning is very important in the NBA, and I haven't done any of that. So, something like the same. I think even they said that I need to be an all-around player. And I agree with him on that. I do need to be an all-around player. I feel like scoring is something I could do, and I've shown doing in the NBA. So just playing defense, getting my guys open, communicating, leadership. I feel like once all that happens, scoring is going to be easy.
So like I stated in my last video, coming out of training camp this year, all we're hearing is just culture change, winning, team, buy-in, all of that, those buzzwords that you want to hear, right? But at the end of the day, we won't really know what this team's going to look like until the rubber hits the road when, when the season starts. So one of the key things, and I've said this for a while, that is going to be a big determinant of how the Rockets do is going to be the performance of one Jalen Green. In his article, Jalen Green and a potentially supercharged Houston Rockets ascension, Zach Lowe kind of details some of these nuances of Jalen's game and some things that he needs to do and show in this third year that he's coming into this year. And this article, it just echoes a lot of the discussions that I've had on this channel regarding where I see Jalen, where I think his peak can be, where he may land, and everything in between, from his playing style to some of the deficiencies that he has. Zach really touches all over this topic, and I think he really did a great job drilling down, getting into the details about Jalen's game, and I think he nailed it. And respect to him for having the ability to focus on a player that's not a star on a team that's not good, with this much attention to detail. So shout out to Zach Lowe for that. Really respect his analysis on things. If you watch this channel, you already know, like, you don't need Zach Lowe to be able to tell you about Jalen Green, because I've been telling you about Jalen Green, right? So I'm going to get into some of my favorite quotes from the article, and then we'll chop it up about it. So one interesting quote that I saw from this article was one that kind of pointed to a situation that happened in 2021 season where, there was a young player that I think Ben Dubose reported this originally. A young player basically had some words for Christian Wood. And I'm going to say it was Christian Wood, right? Because you have that aspect of the story. Then you have Zach Lowe saying this. This is Zach Lowe saying, "You were supposed to lead by example. Jalen Green, then a 19-year-old rookie and number 2 overall draft pick, chastised one of the few veterans on our team. A player Green and others present won't identify today. Other players and coaches had noticed that veteran playing with a half-hearted selfishness. Only Green spoke up. We need you to be better." This is Jalen talking. Green continued, "You're supposed to show us how to do this." Interesting, right? Interesting that as a young player, he was able to show this amount of poise and demeanor to approach a veteran, quote unquote, about their play and their role as a leader on the team. And one thing that I've really noticed about Jalen over the years is that he's always kind of been seeking guidance, right? He's always been seeking guidance in his role in the NBA since he got to the NBA, whether it was from, you can see him literally saying that they're to this half-hearted veteran about them playing, showing them how to be leaders, showing them how to be NBA players. You also see that in his relationship with Kevin Porter Jr. and some of the other guys that have been on the Rockets over the years with John Wall and things like that. Unfortunately for him, given the circumstances that the team was in, he's never really had a stable kind of veteran presence on the team. Either the guys that were on the team were going to be shipped off, or, there were other circumstances, like in the John Wall situation going on, that prevented that relationship from really budding. And you can see now from some of the interviews that I've seen from training camp that he is really soaking in all the veteran presence, all the guys that are there to guide him. And this is a guy that seeks guidance and seeks structure. So to me, that's half the battle for him. So it was interesting to see that he was actually the one that came up and spoke out. I honestly thought it was either KJ or Tate, right? So to hear it was Jalen was surprising to me. But let's move on to another quote. So Zach says in another quote, speaking of Jalen, he says, but Green has tantalizing scoring tools and a willingness, he and his coaches say, to lean into more of a playmaking role and to give more effort on defense. In year 3, he now has to live the message he delivered to that would-be veteran mentor. Play unselfishly, play hard, play defense, always. And, there's a phrase that I've said on our channel. I've said it on Locked On Rockets. I've said it on multiple platforms. When I say that offense is almost the least important skill to have as far as like scoring, just scoring in a vacuum for a team that has aspirations to be a championship team. And people like in the comments and stuff argue about that point when I make that. And I'm glad that you've heard it from Coach Udoka. You've heard it from Jalen Green himself. You've heard it from Zach Lowe in this article. When I say these things, you have to really listen to the words I use because I choose my words very carefully, right? The term in a vacuum. Scoring is important in the NBA, but as you can see, what Zach is saying in this quote is that, yeah, we know he can score, right? We know he can score. There's multiple quotes from people quoting Jalen. Jalen saying he can score, but when Ime Udoka says Jalen needs to be more well-rounded, what are they speaking of? Look at what the quote says, right? A better playmaker and better effort on defense. And my thing for guys like Jalen, these two guards, is that the two guard, like historically, aside from Mike and Kobe, and you get, there's these generational two guards, but there's not a lot of just great two guards in the game that really impact winning on that level. It's usually a guard that's a playmaking guard or a big man that's a two-way stud, right? Those are the guys that really impact winning at that super elite level. When you get one of these two guards that are able to do that, usually what it comes with is defense and scoring, or playmaking and scoring. And a lot of the two guards that are playmakers are point guards, right? Those are your Steph Currys and Dames. So those guys are typically not built like Jalen, where they are uber explosive athletes, have good length, good size. So he is sort of a unique prospect in the sense that he's a hybrid between, the scoring, typical regular two guards, but then he also has the passing chops of a kind of a combo guard that's leaning towards being a point guard. And the reason this is exciting for him is because you see flashes, and Zach points it out in the article, of Jalen's passing ability and him able to play make for teammates, but it's only flashes. There's no consistency there. And on the defensive end, you see flashes of him when he has the will to and he's challenged to defend. He defends, but there's no consistency there. Coming into year 3, it's going to be all about consistency. Can you put all of that together? He has to pick one of those routes. Ideally, for me, like I said, I'm greedy. If it was up to me, Jalen, be a scoring, defending, playmaking, all NBA level type of player where you can give him the ball. When he draws the defense, then he's able to kick it out and make plays, and then he can defend. Guys like Jimmy Butler are great kind of analogs for that type of role. Not really as far as how Jimmy Jimmy's game and Jalen's are not really parallel with each other, but you can see what Jimmy Butler does is he makes a simple pass. He can pass it when he needs to, especially when he draws the defense, and then he's a stud on the other side of the court. And when you have players like that, it really does take your team to another level. So for Jalen Green, the question for this third year is really going to be, which are you going to lean into? Are you going to lean into that defense? Are you going to lean into the playmaking? Because we know he's a bucket. He can score, but that's not going to cut it when you're trying to win games. That's not going to cut it. And we're going to talk about some of his role switching in this coming year, but this, like coming up now, he has to pick another tool that he wants to be really, really cold with, because just getting a bucket, like I said, you'll be a great 6-man on the team. But as far as being a number one guy, that's not going to cut it. As much as you want to, people talk about James Harden, savant level playmaker, savant level IQ with the ball in his hands, and he's one of the best scorers ever. So you got to have those two things. Let's go to another quote. So Zach points out something that I always, talked about with Jalen's physical stature, when he says Green's combination of speed, burst, and leaping ability is rare, even among players towards the top of the draft. During his 1-on-0 pre-draft workout with the Rockets, Green lost the ball on the way up during a layup drill, reached out in midair to snare it, and dunked with power. And this is quoting Rafael Stone, who said, "It was like, holy I haven't seen that one before," Stone recalled. His athleticism popped. He has one of the highest ceilings of any player that has been drafted recently, and we're in the business of drafting for upside. For guys like Jalen, when you have uber athletes, when they pop and they pop, it takes it to another level, right? Because in the playoff games, the herky-jerky stuff could get you only so far. At the end of the day, you better have a dominant skill that the defense can't stop. And for Jalen, to me, the thing that really makes him special is not even, all the super athleticism. It's the athleticism combined with his ability to possibly one day be a great shooter. You rarely get that combination of skill and athleticism together in one player, because a lot of the guys that are great athletes, they rely on the athleticism to carry them through. And once the athleticism fails, then they start losing a bit of their game. A lot of guys that are not great athletes, they focus on their skill, highly skilled development. They can shoot, they can do all these things. But it seems like Jalen has a propensity for being a great athlete that he naturally is, with the ability to be able to do some of the skillful things that you want to see from guys that are like undersized and things like that. So to me, that's really the appeal for him. How he taps into that is really going to be up to him. You see flashes of, once again, the playmaking, the ability to handle the ball, the ability to come off the screen and make shots, make tough shots. But potential is potential till it's actualized. And for him, that's something that he's going to have to really, really show in this third year coming up. So Zach quotes on this saying that at age 20 on a rebuilding Rockets team facing elite defenders almost every game, Green averaged 22 points and almost 4 assists. He knifed his way to 6 free throws per game. Some high usage ball handlers never averaged that many free throws. Green was inefficient, but he is on a clear all-star trajectory. And this is all facts. And to me, even the free throws, he's underselling himself. Jalen could average easily 25, 26 points per game if he just drove to the basket more. He settled for a lot of bad shots, and Zach points that out with a lot of the mid-rangers that he took that were contested and just not great. He could have had more assists if he had better floor vision. The sky's the limit for him. The game for that and the pressure he puts on the defense really opens up a lot of the court. If his mind and perception of the court and his feel for the game can catch up to what his physical tools actually force the defense to do, then you're talking about something different here. So definitely the assist numbers, I do expect that to go up this year. To a little bit more, because one, Ime's offensive philosophy is going to be good shot's a better shot. And then obviously with Jalen having to play off ball this year, because you have multiple ball handlers like Fred that are going to be coming in to set him up. He's going to get the opportunity to attack the defense off of disadvantages. And those scramble situations where he draws the crowd is where those assist. And you got better shooters, hopefully, with Fred VanVleet on the court, hopefully with Jabari Smith Jr. Being able to hit shots at a above terrible average. And then, Dylan Brooks, hit or miss, he's going to be there. It's probably an upgrade from KJ Martin. So he has guys that can make shots. Alp is going to be there to finish for him, to be able to hopefully take more 3-pointers. So opportunities to get assists are going to improve there. Other things that he can do, obviously, is going to be for him to be able to get to the line in multiple ways. The strength that he's put on over this offseason, you can see it in his stature. He has a thicker frame now, so he can absorb a lot of the contact. One thing he was doing earlier on was avoiding contact. Now he has to seek it and be able to draw it. And if you can creep up to that 8 free throws per game, you're in the 25, 26 points per game scorer, taking better shots, more efficient shots, being set up by a point guard, only leads to him having a more overall efficient year. If the Rockets are able to creep into that play-in, bottom tier playoff team range, then I think Jalen's going to get the nod of being possibly looked at as an all-star. Because, like I said, at that 2-guard position, it's not really just a very popular position in the league. There's a lot of these like combo point guards, right? But that's just scoring guard. You got D-Book, you got Levine, you got, what's his name? Bradley Beal. Some of these guys out here. And honestly, all the stuff I'm saying, like Bradley Beal, how many, I think him and Jalen probably average the same amount of assists, not a great passer. I think Devin Booker right now is a standard for 2 guards. I think Jalen Green can surpass Zach LaVine in about a year or two, just off of just pure skill, which it took Zach so many years to get to the skill level he's at now, that Jalen is on a trajectory to outpace him and reach him fairly quickly. So to me, right now, the 2 levels are going to be the Bradley Beals or the Devin Bookers. And with Jalen's athleticism, being more athletic than both of them, but not as skillful, does it even out in the middle where Jalen becomes better than a Devin Booker? Because even though he's not as skilled as Devin is, or probably never will be, that fact that he's almost as skilled with being a more superior athlete, does that get him over the top? We don't know. These are things that we have to see as time goes on. So here's one of my favorite quotes from the article that Zach wrote. He says, "Defense is not optional under Udoka. Defense is more of a mentality," the coach said. "He will be challenged a lot more," speaking of Jalen. So then he goes on to say, "Udoka spares no one in film sessions. You get called out if you are the weak link." Man. And he says, Udoka said, "I'll call him out in front of the whole team. I'm equal opportunity in that." That is just bars to my ear. And obviously, this is the type of stuff that you would expect from somebody that learned under the tutelage of Greg Popovich, where, you've heard the stories of Tim Duncan being called out, made an example of in front of his teammates. You heard the same thing with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick when he was in New England, that Bill would get, he'd get into him, right? And to me, that's that's a coaching thing, because when you hold your stars to the highest standards, it trickles downhill, right? So nobody's above the law. Nobody's above reproach. Nobody's above setting the right standard and doing the right things. Nobody's above the work. And I think that if they let things slip, like I'm sure they've done in the past with Jalen and any of our young players, then you're setting a bad precedent for them and their careers going forward. So, I think Coach Udoka is really, he's won me over times a million with some of the quotes and his approach to teaching, his approach to discipline and structure and accountability. I think these are the base things that, and, when I was, criticizing the Rockets over the years, it wasn't about them trying to tank. We understand the purpose of tanking to get talented players, etc. Cool. But the stuff that we're talking about, discipline, accountability, and film study, accountability on defense, these are things that are not these are not mutually exclusive to trying to lose games. You could teach all of these things and still be a 20-win team, because at the end of the day, you just ain't got the players, right? You feel me? So this is what my issue was with the old regime, is that even though you have bad players and young players and you didn't have all the tools you needed to be successful, damn, you couldn't hold these dudes accountable, right? You couldn't make guys take ownership of what they're putting on film. So this is the contrast, and I know everybody sees it. You know what I mean? Everybody sees it now. You can see the contrast in approach and talking styles. And so once again, when I say things, I choose my words very carefully and try to analyze the situation carefully. And I think some people in our fan base act emotionally and get attached to players and coaches and whoever, and they use that to kind of be the filter of how they make their judgments about the sport. But for me, if I have to have a platform to be able to speak about the Rockets or anything, I got to keep it a buck. So, at the end of the day, that is what you need. You need that structure, or there's not going to be a successful turnaround for this organization. And I'm glad that when you see Ime Udoka trying to change the culture here, that's what he's addressing. He's going to strip it down to the bare minimums and start building those structures. And one of the key pillars in success is accountability. You cannot have success without accountability. And I think that's something that Jalen, once again, from the start of the article, is something that he seeked, and now he's going to get it. And I think the combination of a seeker and a coach that's willing to produce that for him is going to be something that's going to produce a lot of good fruits for him. But once again, it's all going to be on him, just like with all the players. How is he going to do it? And the last quote that I'm going to point out, this is from Jalen. He says, "I want to be better for my teammates." He says that I want to be better for my teammates. I'm always going to be able to score. Now it's more about contributing to my team in other ways. That is music to my ears. Like, that's what you want to hear. That's what it's about. The growth from there. Can you sacrifice, right? You got to be able to sacrifice in order to get to your goals. There's always going to be something there that you have to sacrifice. I had watched the video of Deion Sanders talking to the Philadelphia 76ers in Colorado, random meetup, right, with the whole team. And he was telling them, in order to reach your goals, to win a championship, to get to the top, there's always going to be something that you have to sacrifice. That's going to be there. There's something, whatever it is, whether it's women, drugs, whether it's partying, whether it's ego. There's always going to be that hurdle is going to be in front of you that you're going to have to sacrifice in order for you to get to where you're trying to go. You got to get through it. And the teams, the people, the individuals that are successful in life and whatever they do are the ones that have the discipline to be able to sacrifice those things, to walk that path. If those things aren't addressed, you can't reach your goal. So for Jalen to say that he wants to be better for his teammates and that he is willing to do whatever it takes, playing off ball, on ball, not being the main point of attraction for the team, not being the guy that's going to get 50 shots. Now they have multiple players that can put the ball in the hoop. That's what he needs, right? That's what he needs. And if he stays in that mindset, naturally, the leadership ability, the talent, all of that is going to show. It'll show up naturally. It'll come up naturally because all of that stuff is going to just ooze out. And the way that you earn the respect of other men is not by being bestowed as, oh, you're the star player for our team. The way you earn respect of other men is that you earn it in the field of battle. And in order to do that, one, you gotta be a dog, and two, they gotta know that you will do whatever it takes for the team to win. When you being a diva and pouting and want to do all this other stuff, guys can see through that, and it just looks fake. So why would they buy into you? Why would I follow somebody that's pouting and acting like a child when I see a guy that's a dog? That's what he's gonna have to do this year. If he wants to make this his team, he has to take that leap. Not only on the court, off the court, he has to take that leap in his mind to be a leader. I'm hoping he can do it. I think he can do it. I love the sounds that I'm hearing for him. And, at the end of the day, we got multiple dogs on the team. Jabari is no slouch. You got Amen Thompson on the wings. He might have something to say about that. So, I think Zach has the conclusion that Jalen is the best shot the Rockets have to having a all-NBA, all-star player. I don't think so. I think we have multiple guys that are capable of doing it. I just think Jalen Green has the most ready ability to do that, to get to that level. He's been groomed for it. Team USA, all his experiences to me are pushing him to have this leap this year, his year 3. Can he walk through that door to do it? That's going to be the question. But you guys let me know What do you think about Jalen's ability to go to the next level this coming year? What do you think he's going to do? Do you think this is a year where he fades back, or is it a year where he stands out? I think that it's going to be interesting to see. I really can't tell right now because there's so many changes going on, and it's going to be hard to see early on. But y'all let me know in the comments. And if you're still listening to this video at this point, or this podcast at this point, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Keep rocking with the Chop Shop, and you'll keep dropping that fire.